Aloha, as they say in your country. My name is Mark Major. I'm a studio owner here in Southeast Portland. I'm also a real big toy collector. Now, I will pre-order on occasion. I have that fear of missing out just like everyone else does. But I'm really into the secondhand. I'm really into garage sales, estate sales, yard sales, flea markets, antique malls, any kind of thrift store, a Goodwill, Salvation Army, Value Village, all the hits, that kind of thing. I also buy quite a bit of stuff off of eBay, and I sell quite a bit of stuff on eBay. In fact, I do a show once a month called Catch and Release, where I announce 10 items from my personal collection that I will be getting rid of on eBay. So I feel as if I'm kind of a little bit in the know from experience as far as secondhand resale of toys goes. And that is why today I wanted to talk about why we cannot use eBay as the definitive price guide blue book, the final line in the sand of what toys are worth, as crazy as it sounds, as much a fan of eBay as I am. So stick around. All right, thank you for sitting through that introduction. I know it can be tough for some of you to tolerate the reggae. That's really what the marijuana is for. With the marijuana, you can then get back on the reggae train. It's very easy. So one recommendation for those planning on viewing the opening intro multiple times. Okay, so let's start off with a little bit of a story. And for this story, I would like to point out that it's absolutely true, although the ending is not as exciting as you might think. So, good friend of mine, guy who doesn't live here on the West Coast anymore. He's moved back to the Midwest. Known him for a long time. We were roommates a couple times. We were in a band together. He wrote a book. I helped him edit it, that kind of thing. Someone I know, someone I trust. He contacts me one day and he's like, "Hey, have you heard about these Disney VHS tapes, these Black Diamond label tapes?" I'm like, "Nah, I don't know what you're talking about, man. What is this?" He's like, "Well, apparently they go for a lot of money." And I'm like, "Really? What? How can that be?" I mean, like, Disney pumps out like thousands and thousands of VHS tapes. Just, how can they be worth anything? He's like, "I don't know. Go look on eBay." And I was kind of skeptical, but I went and I looked, and just like anyone who can go look on eBay, you do a search, Disney Black Diamond VHS, and sort by highest, there's one now. Someone selling a Beauty and the Beast, $500,000, and 56 people are watching. And you kind of scroll down and look, there's more. Here's a listing for $400,000 with 45 people watching. And here's the same one for $23.92. $23.99.92 and 30 cents. Where's that number come from? They, must have number crunched the ultimate value for these things. So, as you start looking through here, you start seeing these Disney VHS tapes with these huge numbers on eBay. So my friend's like, "Yeah, my mom has got a box of these tapes. There's like 17, 18 of these things." He's like, "I know you do eBay. I'll mail them out to you and sell them and we'll just split it. I mean, if you get $5,000 for one, I mean that alone is worth it." And I was like, "Okay, if you want to send me something that doesn't cost me anything to list something on eBay, it's just you take a couple pictures. It's It's really not a big deal. And if there's thousands of dollars to be made, well then, okay, sure, I'd be pretty game." So these tapes come in, and what's great is that it was his mom's tapes, and in this box there were still the original receipts from when they had bought them from like Blockbuster or something in 1998 or something. So I thought that was kind of cool. But I like everyone else, I listed them and I was like, hey, you start off, you don't want to be crazy with some $5,000. So like, yeah, I think I'll start this Pinocchio off at like $500 or something. And, you know, it didn't sell. You know, then you drop the price again. You're like, well, it's clearly too high, but maybe this needs to get bid up, you know, $50. No, not going. And you're like, well, what about maybe like $5? No, I'm not paying $5. In fact, I'm not paying any money. These things are worth nothing. They're not even worth $1. You know, $5 would get you the whole box. They're worth nothing. So, so then, you know, what the hell is going on with this? You know, these Disney tapes. Just, you know, people are asking this much money. They wouldn't ask that much money unless they're selling for that much. So let's go click. Let's look at sold. Okay, here we go. Now we're getting some data. Let's see how well people did. Here's one. $37,000. Here's one for $17,000. Fox and the Hound. What a deal, by the way, they got on that. I mean, I could see paying $20,000 for that movie on VHS. 101 Dalmatians. This one's supposedly the rare one. $10,000. One bid, free shipping. How are they able to do this? So these are clearly, you know, big dollar items. Well, you know, if it's something from Disney, then surely the mainstream must pick up on this. And if you go look online to see what this phenomenon is with these VHS tapes selling, you know, let's see what we come up with. Let's see what we got for stories. Here's one. Your old Disney VHS tapes could be worth thousands. And they go through, and what they do is they pull data off of eBay, which anyone can do. You know, in fact, you can automate it. In fact, the story could be automated and written by a program, and they go through and they look at prices just like this, and they say, well, guess what? This tape is worth $6,000, that kind of thing. How about this story? 15 Disney VHS tapes worth a fortune today. It's the same thing. They pull, this story just pulls these numbers. Currently, the Black Diamond edition of 101 Dalmatians is valued at approximately $6,000. Whoa, how many you want? You need some of these tapes? I got some for you. Don't worry, they're coming. Right, so this is the same thing. This is an article. This is thegamer.com, by the way. The Gamer is doing these stories. They're telling me the Fox and the Hound is approximately $600. It's not even $6, people. So let's look at this. How much are your vintage Disney VHS tapes really worth? So then you start getting, this is insidethemagic.net. I guess that's probably some kind of Disney rag, you know, aggregator or something like that. This is a 2019 article, and it's doing the same thing. It's asking why are these things on eBay going for so much? And then here's a Snopes fact check. Are Black Diamond Disney VHS tapes worth thousands of dollars? So this is in the scam on eBay with these Disney VHS tapes. This is hitting, I wouldn't necessarily say the mainstream, you know, like this isn't New York Times kind of thing. But these are, you know, we're starting to hit real publications here with these articles. This one's called liveabout.com or liveabout, I don't know or care, but this is their website, the Disney Black Diamond VHS prices hoax. So the vintage videos do not sell for thousands of dollars on eBay. And here's somebody who's actually going through, and they're doing kind of what I'm doing, is they're saying that these prices here that you're seeing are not real. It doesn't take anything whatsoever to list something, put a price, have another account buy it. If you're thinking, oh, well, now this person is charged the, you know, seller fee of 10% of $6,500, so this guy's got to pay $650 or something for the sale. No, because he just, like on his end, he cancels the transaction, it's done. In fact, if the buyer doesn't even pay, right, because this happens to me a lot, someone will bid something up, and it's just like a competitor trying to like nudge you off the road like they're Spy Hunter or something, right? They'll bid you up and then they don't pay because you're just sitting there waiting and you're out of commission. You can't put it up for auction. You give the person a day, 2 days, 3 days, you know. Then you second chance it to someone, and then 2 days goes by, and then you third chance, and then, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just like a sort of a competitor's thing where they're trying to just knock you out of the road, that sort of thing. So, there's no, you know, repercussions of this. There's no check mark against you if you're a buyer who buys something and then nothing happens to you. Maybe you go on some list to eBay where they don't, you know, you're not trusted by their algorithm, but it doesn't really stop anyone or anything, you know. And plus, you can always just make new accounts. And if in fact you look at these accounts selling the tapes and the accounts buying the tape, you see that there are accounts that exist only for the sake of doing this. They're only here to get these scams up. So the thing that I have yet to find out is I have yet to see anyone write an article on what these people are doing and what the game is. I've seen somebody think, you know, their detective work is they think that these are drug deals, that you are selling drugs, you put up Beauty and the Beast for X amount of dollars, someone buys it and you send them drugs, or you drive over drugs or something. That's not happening, right? If you're doing something like that, you don't want any transaction fees to get a part of anything, right? You don't want to like anyone taking a cut, and you also don't want any kind of a paper trail, and you don't want any kind of like cross-state paper trail. You don't want anything that anybody could use against you for any reason whatsoever that involves money, because when it comes down to it, the law only cares about money and property, and it only extends to those who are holding it. So if you want to get screwed over, if you're doing something illegal, stay away from anything that could be used in the court of law involving money transactions. And that is exactly what this is, and that is why this is not illicit drugs or anything. No, this is a con man, a confidence man scam that people do. What they're doing is they're continually inflating the price of these VHS tapes, which are crap, which you can get anywhere, sealed. You know, they made thousands of these. In fact, if you look at how many results, there's 24,000 plus, meaning they just capped it at 24,000. I don't even know how many. There's 24,000 VHS tapes for sale on eBay. That's just on eBay. If you go around the planet, you're going to find even fucking more, okay? The supply is insanely huge on this. They're not worth 99 cents. Even with inflation and gas right now, they're not worth anything. In fact, these are the kinds of things that when global warming, if real, will melt ice caps, the ice caps will actually cool the Earth. It's the same thing as dropping a fucking ice cube in your glass, and the Earth will cool and will be covered in snow. We will be looking for these VHS tapes. Why? Because we're going to strap about 3 or 4 of them to our feet to use as snowshoes, okay? We are going to get to the store by strapping Beauty and the Beast onto our feet, VHS tapes, and going out there, right? And then when DVDs came out, do you think Disney was like, well, we printed all these VHS tapes, why would we bother selling the exact same thing again, but on DVD? No, they made a bajillion of them, okay? There's anything with Disney on it, there's no lack of the supply. The supply is covered, trust me. If you're looking for one, you're going to find it. They're out there, and there's no difference with these tapes. In fact, that's part of the scam. So the people who have these tapes, they're not really per se selling the tapes online. What it is they find somebody, a mark, that's what it's called in the con man game, right? Remember, if you walk into a room of con men and you don't know who the mark is, it's usually you. You are the person that they're going to scam. So my friend may have been a sort of side victim of the scam, where he may have met somebody who said, hey, have you looked at these VHS tapes on eBay? They go for a lot of money, and maybe tried to sell him one, and he didn't have any money on him, so he didn't buy it. But he went home and he saw that his mom had a bunch, and he called me because he was taken by it. In fact, when I explained the con man game to him, to this day, he still doesn't believe it. He doesn't believe it's a con man thing. He thinks that this is real. He thinks that people are paying $500,000 for one of these things. They're not. Okay, we have to come out and say they're not paying that for this. Now, I've been on this rant a while, and you're like, look, I came here for toys. I'm here to hear this shit. What I'm talking about now is when it comes to collectible things like haslab projects, okay? This is what people are going to do to try to keep the price up on things that they invested in to resell. If you bought 10 or more of these Galactus to resell, the whole thing revolves around keeping the price up, okay? And that will mean doing things like listing them for a high price, buying them for a high price, and not worrying about the transactions and that and canceling the orders and all that garbage, just getting it to come in. Because I see plenty of YouTubers out there who do shows where they use these third-party sites that all they do is they aggregate data off of eBay, which again, I'm an eBayer. I look at the solds, I look at what's for sale when I list, I make the most accurate decisions I can based upon the data I'm able to scan and see, right? So I'm not saying that you throw this stuff out. I'm saying that if they're doing it to these Disney VHS tapes, they're going to do it to something you collect, and you're going to get scammed, and you're going to get hurt. You're going to think that this toy is worth $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and in fact, it is not. So I guess the takeaway is, if you're going to use eBay to determine prices, don't let it be such a strong weight so as to determine future prices. That is, I know a lot of people bought the Galactus because they saw YouTubers who said, and they had all this data with these numbers that went up, they said, look, if you bought the sail barge for this, you made this much profit on it. If you bought the Razor Crest for this much, you made this much profit on it. If you bought, you know, this item over here, the Sentinel, you made this much profit on it. He didn't see that the fact that from the sail barge on down to each one, the amount of profit you made on them was less and less with each one, and it was declining. The YouTuber who did that video, which I'm not going to say, he failed to actually see the trend in his own video that you were making less and less. The first guys made 80%. The last thing that closed, you were making like 30%, right? So he failed to notice that, suggesting that if the trend continues, this next project after the Sentinel, which was Galactus, you're going to make an even smaller percentage, but you're still probably going to make something. It's just not going to be the payout that you think it is. But if you're going to buy one of these things, don't necessarily look at the data and think like that is the be-all, end-all of the top-end price, because those things are easy to manipulate and you will get burned. I recommend that you maybe try and find one on the cheap when you get to the window of clearance for resellers and things like this, right after all the demand for this has been reached and people are sitting on a bunch of these and they've got payments to make just like everyone else. They might have a pet bill and they've got 5 of these in their garage. They might have a water bill, right? Maybe a water main broke or something, right? They've got 4 or 5 of these in their garage. Maybe their car broke down. Maybe their car was in an accident. Maybe their son or daughter needs to have an operation. Maybe they want to go to camp. Maybe they need something specific that's, you know, only they can have, and you've got to come up with money for it right away, and you've got 4 or 5 of these in your garage. You've made your money on them on the initial run. You're at that point where they're not selling. What are you going to do? You're going to get rid of them. So if you're looking for one of these, don't cash out right away. Wait a bit and look on things like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace for a Galactus, right? You're going to have a much better chance there of getting one for cheap because this person doesn't have to ship it, if that's the case, right? You can go pick it up, give the guy like, you know, $450 cash, right? Doesn't have to ship it, doesn't have to pay any transaction fees, doesn't have to do anything like that, doesn't have to worry about like some kind of feedback, doesn't have to like be scared about the thing getting just crushed by UPS, because that's all those guys do is they go in, they just crush boxes so they can see what's inside. These are tips of the trade, by the way. All of this is just one of the many factors that you should bring to the table when hunting for these Galactuses, is that people will take the path of least resistance when it comes to selling it, and you can use that to leverage a better deal. Anyways, that has been this this episode of Toy Talk. I'm glad you guys made it to the end. Please subscribe if you can, not only to the YouTube channel, but also to this fantastic Instagram account here. And I think you know what's going on, folks. I'll catch you in the next one.